This is video 3 of 819. Welcome back. This is our video 3. Let me make sure everybody's in. Thank you for coming back. I know this is a pain, but I've got to get the professional premium one, but I've not heard from the company, so I need to get this. The company that I used to be a consultant in had used a premium service of Zoom, and now I'm trying to get it on my own. It won't let me use the same email. I refuse to make another email. So, so I'm trying to write the company technology department and said, hey, take me off. That way I can get my own. But anyway, I still haven't heard, so I need to bug them again. But anyhow, my last conversation, my last part of the topic, I actually tried to remember it, is that this is important because, right? You have to say this is important because. This is important for you to know the 5 core propositions because whenever you interview, you need to remember that if you get stuck on what to answer and how to explain, use it. Okay, so for example, if you want to be asked about how does your classroom look like? What's an ideal classroom for you? So think about, okay, knowledge of students. So I'm going to say, because I will, make sure that I know my students, I will know their interests or whatever. So my classroom would decorated on whatever the interest, or my lessons, my plans would be according to what, the interest of my students. And then you put in the content, you say, well, as we do, which is your strategies and whatever you're teaching. So in my classroom, I use interactive strategies, where it's hands-on, where students are always working, because I believe that the students will remember more if they're doing it instead of just getting worksheets or anything. I want them to be actually doing some activities. And then your assessment, you need to say, first, I have to assess my students. Before I do any lesson, I always assess, and then I would assess during. And then you put in the reflection, after all my lessons or whatever, I would always reflect. Did my students do well? Why? How would I get better? And then, of course, in my lesson, in my classroom, I always make sure that I collaborate with experts in the field or my colleagues and all that, So anyway, that's how you would use it, is you would use the 5 core propositions. And, going back to my sisters, she would be my audience. Her class would be my audience for mine. And my class would be the audience for her. She would be, one day she was doing, we're studying about Africa. And so she was having her students make a mini book, like a little bitty mini book, little bitty mini book. And then they were doing, they were looking A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. And they have to put A something about animals and so on. So they ended up with a book and they got to share it with my students. Okay. One time I did a puppet show, because we did something and I thought this will be good for the younger students to do. And so I think it was about, I don't remember, in literacy, that was what we're doing. But anyway, I wanted to perform anyway. And so I said, okay, our audience will be kindergarten because we're doing a puppet show. And so then I asked the kindergarten teacher and I'm like, hey, can you be our audience? We'll be done by Friday. Can my students come in and just show you our puppet show? And so anyway, so my students, of course, when they were doing their puppets, they have to use little words, not the big words, because the kindergarten students have to be able to understand that, to understand what they're saying. I think it was like more of a literature, like brown bear, what do you see? I see, or whatever, looking at me. So they have to do their own on that. They have to do something else, their own. So that was kind of cute. The students really like it. And then so then and a lot of other things, we would have like in the project at the end of the month, we would have like a little display, little freestanding display, and they would have it on their desk right here, and they have to have some kind of sculpture to represent their project. So if they're doing Washington, they need to have something like, Washington is known for like the apple, being honest, your apple. So they might have an apple there. And then they would have, I give them like a little modeling clay or something, or like Play-Doh, and they have to make that sculpture of that, put it there. And then on like, we're studying about countries, they would actually make a flag, the little dowel thing. And I give them a little cloth, and they actually design the flag and had glued it, and then here's their flag standing right there in front. And then the audience, we would give them a penny, which is like isang centimos atin. I'll give them that 1 penny and they have to vote. So they have to listen because they have to present, and they have to vote and see their favorites. And whoever got the most vote, the most pennies, will win. And I have a prize. Anyway, so the students, it gave them a purpose, because here we are, I have to do well. And I always invite the parents. So the parents, I always have little audience. There's some chairs there for the parents. Whoever wants to come, they can come. Of course, it's videotape. They can also see it that night. So anyway, so you can see my classroom was always like almost like a performance, almost like a stage, but I always was sharing with the parents, and they knew exactly what I was doing. So when they come to see me on parent-teacher conference, then they kind of felt like they know me so well, because of all the things that we have done, and because of the Fridays that they come to visit. In America now, we could bring food. Now it has to be purchased from the store, because of, some people might have gotten sick or whatever. Now, if it's purchased from the store, that's going to be, inspected and so on. So birthday parties in our old school, we were used to have them. And then later on, they decided, oh, we're not going to have them anymore because your kids in poverty might not be able to, to do what the rich kids can do. And it's not fair. And so even like on Valentine's Day or Christmas or whatever, the parents would send them balloons or stuffed animals or whatever, and to be delivered in the school. We start having it where it has to be not delivered in the classroom, but delivered in a room, a blank room, an empty room. And then they have somebody in charge of it, just separated by classes and labeled. And then they would have the students go in there. You give the students a little note saying you need to go to this room before you leave for the bus or your parents, because you have something there. But at least that way, the other kids do not see that they, others have, 15 of her classmates, have one, and him and another person might not. So before we did the separate room thing, I actually would order things for my students. Like I would do like a balloon, which is $1, and then a Coke, which was 50 cents. And then I would actually buy all that for all my kids. So even if all of my kids are coming out from my room, have something. The other kids did not know that their teacher gave that to them. But the others would have 2, 3 because, the grandparent had it. But my students always had something. And so that way I know I spent my money, but it's worth that, because none of my kids felt like left out, felt like, oh, poor me. Everybody has this and I don't. Because I was really poor and I would have felt that way, and so it's kind of, I'm for the underdog, we want them to feel good. And, a lot of times they're the ones that work so hard anyway, because it's hard for them. All right, now anchoring the information. What are the things that you think that you might be able to use? How else can you use the core propositions, the 5 things? The knowledge of students, knowledge of content, assessment, reflection, and collaboration. How else can you use that other than interview? Can you use it in your classroom? Can somebody share? I'm really bad about wait time. Sometimes I'm really needing to work on it. That's why I'm trying to pause. You're supposed to pause before you ask the question, and then pause again after you ask the question. And you give people, or you give students time to process. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm giving you time to process. Because if you don't do that, your special ed students may still be processing what you were saying, but then you already moved on. And so sometimes you would catch students answering the question before that you said, and you already moved on. Okay, that's a faster processing time versus slow processing time. So you need to be aware of that. And I am still so bad about not waiting, just because I get so excited. Okay, so anybody?
Evening, Doc.
Good evening. Hey, you want to answer that question? Vanessa, you have had lots of interview, right? Yeah.
I got one last week from IL, Texas.
Okay, I did send your list to Texas as well, guys. So if you get some Texas, that's, I send the list of the big ones in Texas. So it's still neighboring. That way still neighboring. I could still visit you. You can still visit me. some neighboring, I'm sending it to neighboring states, so you can still come and visit me, or, you know, the other teachers and I might just have a road trip and visit you.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about how you would use it, or were you able to use maybe some of the corporate positions when you answered?
The question was about how would you deal with the disruptive students.
Mhm.
So I started my answer through saying that I collaborated with my colleagues, knowing that identifying who are those students who tend to be disruptive. So I think I use that as a knowledge of about student.
Very good. And
Then-
collaboration, right? And collaboration, right? There's two there.
Yes. And then, for example, I have that grade 1 student before who tend to be disruptive. So since that I collaborated and know the story about that student, so then I can decide what will be my strategies for that kind of behavior. So the teachers from the other sections, they are crying because of that very naughty or very energetic student. Then they decided to be in my class, wherein I just I did not do anything, but then I just looking at him seriously, and then after the class I called him, and then I told him that you should behave during our class, especially if the teacher is talking at the center. You should behave, you should sit down, and I will give you a reward after the class. So I guess that was very effective. Then until graduation, or at the end of the school year, the administration decided that the student will be in my class because he behaves a lot. Every time, sometimes when he forgot, he tend to stand. I just look at him and stare at him. I'm not doing anything.
You use nonverbal, which is
Yes.
sometimes powerful. You know, but don't be mean about it. Like you naughty look like this, you know. My parent told me that, like my daughter said you gave her a mean look, and I'm like, what's my mean look? I'm so expressive. But anyway, just kind of be careful about that. But that's good that you're successful. So were you looping or something? Were you looping from one grade to another? That's why you have that student again? Is that what you're saying? Or because you teach different levels?
Only in grade 1 and grade 2.
Okay, loop. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a really good example. And anytime on your interview, try to think of examples like what, you know, Vanessa's sharing, because that's powerful. That makes your answer unique than anybody else. Because if you just do a generic answer, they will forget that. But if you give them a specific, you know, I always just say in my workshops and with my students, I say, specific is terrific. Specific is terrific. So at the end of my workshop, I would say 3 things that you learn about me, 2 things that your 3, 2, 1 exit slip, 3 things that you learn about me, 2 things that you're going to use, and 1 thing that you still have a question about. Then they always put specific is terrific is always one that they put, that you have to specify in order for your whatever your answer is to be clear, right? Okay, who else have I not talked to? We got Raymond. Did I talk to you? I know I put your name in my list. So if you don't mind, thank you again, Vanessa. Okay, can you please talk to us, Raymond?
Hi guys, good evening. I hope you guys can hear me. So this is my first time here. My name is Raymond. I'm from Cebu. So
Cebu. I'm from Cebu.
who's from Cebu here? Yes. I think you're from Karkar. I'm from Naga. So like
Okay.
we're 2 towns away.
Pretty neighbors.
Alright.
Yeah.
All right. So um my journey to become a teacher is unique because I'm very focused on skills teaching. So prior to become, by the way, I'm not an education graduate. I finished Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. So I'm now teaching adults, senior high school. Um, and prior finishing my mathematics degree, I was a computer science student under scholarship. And so, unfortunately, I did not finish on that. Um, but I noticed that the advanced topics on computer science has a lot to do with mathematics. So I took a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, and then I went on earn units in a Master of Arts in Economics. And then I got this opportunity to teach senior high school students. So my experience is uh, towards becoming a teacher is unique with compared to you guys. So you've had a lot of experience. I only have 3 years of experience teaching senior high schools because I'm very specific, or I'm very passionate about teaching skills to students, adult students, because I feel like education here, at least in the Philippines, I feel like, especially after the implementation of the K to 12 education, I feel like you're still missing the point. So I'm kind of into that. So aside from teaching, I also like since I know a lot about technical stuff, like on the computer science part, I also run like um ads on my websites, so that side hustles. And since I'm also into it, so I'm also into that. So that's it. So I've been teaching for 3 years, and um I I want to go abroad, explore abroad, because I want to grow, and I really I want to share my experience and passion and culture um to people around the globe, hopefully.
To
And we'll
folks
start
around the world, okay? Yeah.
right. And maybe we'll start with the in States.
Okay.
So that's it for me, guys. So my journey is unique. Hopefully I can learn a lot from you guys, listening from you, I guess. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, Ray, I love that you say things about your passion and so on. You might not want to say about I'm not really in education, because here in America, when you say BS in math, that's actually an education here. So they would not understand why you are not in education when you have a math major. So you don't have to say that
Okay.
part, because they're gonna say, okay, X off. This is not an education person. So you
Oh,
not
okay.
want that. You might want to share, I'm passionate about math and teaching math to students. And when you keep saying adult students, you are also getting the possibilities of you being hired on the 7-12 spectrum. You're also getting that out. You're also, oh, I can only teach senior. You don't want that, because your praxis would cover 7-12 or 8-12. So you want to have more opportunities for other grades. You don't want to cut that opportunity out because you said that. Okay, you love it. My favorite is senior, but I can also teach whatever. Okay, I would always open myself up to more opportunities than close it. Okay, but good answers, really good answers. Really, we got to know you about your passion, and you told us other side hustles that you have. It makes me think that you are a person that's hardworking, that you go above and beyond. You don't just finish teaching and then you're done. You always have this little extra things going. I really relate to that. I've always have side hustles all my life. Now my side hustle is actually making more money than my pension. So it's a good thing. But anyway, thank you for sharing your passion and about yourself. Okay, so I hope you're learning something. When I have this Zoom, if you learn at least one thing from it, I'm happy. Because remember, in the brain study, in our age age about 30 and up, we can only retain 5 to 7 chunk of information. And for our students, you have to think 3 to 5 chunks. Chunking means it's just you put it in categories. Okay, so if you put in categories, they learn more, but it has to be one chunk. So for example, if I'm teaching states, I might be teaching 3 or 4 states, but then that's one chunk. I'm teaching a state. I'm teaching the states. And then I'm teaching something else in a category. But you cannot handle so many. So if I'm a teacher that's giving the student 50 things or question about 50 things, that's you're not doing a brain friendly teaching. You have to be brain friendly, but you have to be aware that your students can only handle so much. Otherwise, if it's too much, you know, and that's what I did all my student life in the Philippines. I would cram everything in my head, just enough to get to pass my test, and I did well, but then it goes to my short-term memory. It get deleted, it got replaced. So the things that really stuck to me and went into my long-term memory are things that were relevant to me, that were meaningful to me, that applied to me in my life, you know, that I could use, I know I could use in the future. And that's why it's important for us to explain that to our students, that this, you need this because then when your brain, you're telling the brain that, hey, don't put this in the short-term memory, put it in the long-term memory. So that's why it's so important to have that so what part. Okay. All right, let's move on to, okay, Erwin, I've talked to you. Can you just tell everybody who you are and where you are, where you're from? We had a really good conversation with you, Erwin, yesterday. I've enjoyed that.
Yesterday.
Mike.
Yeah, good evening. Good morning there, ma'am.
Yes.
I mean, it's just daylight just there. My name is Erwin Angelo Baduya from Subic, Zambales. I am a math teacher teaching senior high school also, grade 11 and grade 12. And I'm also teaching research. I have been teaching since 2013, but decided to apply in the public school in 2014. And currently I am having my 9th year. I think it's going to be 10th year of teaching after my graduation time.
Okay.
That's it.
Good. What was I going to say? Thank you for talking to us again. I have one comment and I forgot what it was now. that's how old I am. Anyway, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. I guess because I have too much to think about now. You know, I have this many teachers that I'm helping, and I have to retain all these things. And I'm like, okay, short-term memory, long-term memory, they're already now getting crowded. Okay, so we apologize, but maybe it will come back to me. But anyway, but all of you, and I was looking at your verbal, non-verbal, your non-verbal communication, your body language. And I always look at that, and the interviewers here would look at that. Very positive. You're smiling, you're like, you know, up, and you're not like, oh, you know, like you're bored, you know. So you have to show that, you know. With my students, I say that. I'm like, I know that so-and-so is interested because, you know what, look at your body. Look, I want everybody to look at her body language. Look how interested she is. And look at, you know, I would make an example and everybody would just like, you know, do what that person did. But anyway, just remember your body language really, really, really matters. 70% of communication is actually nonverbal. So it's not really what you're saying, but it's really how your body's acting, how you're, you know. So anyway, just remember that. I did see somebody a while ago that was like acting like not interested. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, and humor, by the way, is good. By the way, that research is saying that when a teacher uses humor, the students will remember it. So be funny, you know, be appropriately funny, but be funny, because they will remember the joke. They come home and say, oh, my teacher was so funny today. This is what, you know, this is what the teacher did, or this is what the teacher shared, you know. And even in marriage and partnership, that's also good to be funny. And my husband and I, you know, we've been married 35 years. We still make each other laugh every day. You know, like something goofy he would do, something goofy I would do. And the advice that he gave our son, Jet, our 23-year-old Jet, said, Jet, find somebody that makes you laugh. That's all. If you find someone that makes you laugh, that's it. So in your classroom, you know, the students would make you their favorite teacher. Because the teacher is so funny, you know, and all that. They would always say that, you know, like my sister and I would be going somewhere in a grocery store. And of course, students recognize us like, oh, you're my favorite teacher. You're my favorite teacher, you know, something like that. And sometimes you see another colleague there. And by the way, it's colleague, not colleagues, okay? Colleague, your colleague is there and they would be like, you know, I don't want them to be hurt because the students are not running to them saying their favorite teacher, you know, and it's in their, you know, the hearing distance. It actually happened to me when at the end of the year, they would get the list. The students would see this list that, you know, if they're third graders, they will know who their fourth grade teachers are. That's an exciting time for them. And so they would go, you know, so the students that will be mine next year, they would be running to me and say, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have you, you know, things like that. And I was standing right next to another fourth grade teacher, and another student said, oh, I'm gonna get you. Oh my gosh, I was like, that was rude, you know, and she didn't, this kid did not even realize that that was a rude thing to do. But I felt, you know, I look at the teachers, at my colleague's face, and I know she was hurt, you know, and I'm like, oh, you have to remember when the kids left, because we were on duty outside, on playground duty. So I just told her, hey, you know what, kids, you know how they are, you know, they're pretty fickle. You know, that's one day, that's a feeling of that one, the kid one day, they don't know you, they don't know us, you know. And so I have to like say something, because you're going to have that. If you're a teacher, and you know, if you're a teacher that students like, they're going to tell people about it. I already was told, I was there the first week, this week, for the first week of school, students are already telling me, oh my gosh, we love so-and-so. I went to so-and-so's classroom. I'm going to go to the high school. I'm going to go to the office and change my schedule, so I will have so-and-so Filipino teachers. So anyway, so I was telling them, I'm like, you are impacting students, and they're telling their friends like, oh, you should, you know, you should try so-and-so's classroom. It's really fun. She's really nice. She's sharing us about the Philippines, and we're learning extra stuff. You know, so they were sharing with their friends. And so you're forming your reputation. And I told them that, I'm like, this year is your first year. You are forming that reputation. So if the kids are thinking you are just a pushover, that means they can just get away with anything in your classroom. They're going to tell everybody, that teacher, that's very easy. I mean, the teacher, she won't get you in trouble. You can just do anything. You don't want that reputation. I have a reputation of like, she would love you and she cares about you, but she means business. She wants you to work, because that's what I did. I want good products. I want good high quality products. And when you get done, I have learning station. I have a chess station, they can play chess. I have a science station where we have a pet that they have to take care of. And I have a math station where they're building models and so on. And I have a publishing center where they can write, they can, you know, do songs, they could write poetry that they could share. Because I have like a special chair, like a swivel chair, like the bar stool, you know, thing. And I call that my author's chair. So the author's chair, they can always come in there and share. You know, I created this in publishing center. I made a poem today and it relates to what we're studying and whatever. May I share it? And so I would, okay, everybody, let's give so-and-so an attention. And, you know, and they would share what the project is because they're so proud of it. And then we would always clap. Yay, good job. You know, validate your students, because, you know, everybody wants to be validated, even adults. We want somebody to tell us that we did okay, we did good, right? Same with your students, especially with your students. I think it doesn't matter what age they are. From elementary, I've taught elementary, middle school, high school, and now college, and now, you know, above, but they always would want that validation. There are five languages of love, or anyway, 5 languages of love, I think is what it said. It's called the book. And there are 5 ways that we love, or we want to be loved. Give me time, 1. Give me a word of validation. Give me gifts. I forgot the other 2. But anyway, but I know that I love giving gifts. But I do not like receiving gifts. I want people to help, to do service, like that's other service. Like I'd rather have someone to like help me or help somebody, like pay it forward for you guys. I'm not charging you, but I want you to pay it forward by helping somebody else. You know, that's how I love. I do not, you know, I want time. I want quality time with people. And so you have to realize, how do I want to be loved and how do I love people? And that doesn't just help with your classroom, it also helps in relationship. Okay, know how your partner wants to be loved. Because sometimes the problem occurs is that your partner is really thirsty, you know, or your students are really thirsty for that word of validation from you, because that's how they love. And then, or how want to be loved. So anyway, so we just went on all over the topic, but hopefully relevant. Okay, next, Katrina, you're new too. Katrina, right? I talked to you already. Annie Lizardo.
Hi, Doctora.
Hey, yeah. You can call me Mom Merlina or Mom Ellen. That's what the others are calling me now. That's my nickname is Ellen, because every time that somebody would call me Doc, I would think of, what's up, Doc? You know, but anyhow, it's something I earned, yes. And I do use it when I'm presenting, but because I do servant leadership, I kind of just like Mom Merlina or Mom Ellen, but that's a preference. I know Dr. Elvin may want Dr. Elvin, it's fine. And in the Philippines, we really do want that. In the US, in our program anyway, we were taught that you should be a servant leader. Do not put your doctor in your checkbook, and do not, use it when you're presenting in a conference or, something like that. But in a setting like this, I just felt like I'm talking to you. It's just Mom Merlina or Mom Ellen. Okay, that's fine. But if you forget, you're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to be put in timeout. Okay, go ahead. Okay,
I'm
tell us
so
about you.
glad that I have joined again your Zoom meeting, ma'am, because I'd like to join last Saturday, but I am in a seminar for a research journal writing.
Well, good.
I was very lucky enough to join, even though I'm a computer teacher.
Computer
Yes, I'm
teachers are
Annie.
needed here.
For those who don't know me yet,
Uh-huh.
yes, Doc.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come
Sorry.
again, Doc.
Sorry. Computer teachers are needed here. You don't say, although I am a computer teacher, it make it sound like you're not important. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I have that chance to participate in that seminar, although it's not my field with specialization. But I love it, though.
Okay.
I love it, ma'am. I am Annie Ann Ortega from the Philippines. I am a TLE teacher or technology and livelihood education teacher, specialized in computer science. So I teach the ICT subject, information and communications technology for 9 years now. And in my early years in the service, I handled ICT subjects for grades 7 to 10. And then for 2 years now, I am assigned in the senior high school department to handle the major subjects for the grades 11 and 12. I coach and train grade 12 for their assessment tests for their national certificate level 2. And for the 3 years now, including this year, we had 100% passing rate for the NC2
Good job.
CSS level 2. And aside from teaching, I am also assigned as the school ICT coordinator, LIS or the Learning Information System coordinator, and the EBEIS, Enhanced Basic Education Information System coordinator.
Okay.
And for now, I think my principal wants to give me again a new subject to teach, which is I am willing to teach also because I love to have new experiences, and that makes me grow professionally. And that is oral communication, man. I think I need that one.
That's good. That's
So,
good.
I am also a badminton coach in our school, although I don't play badminton. But I think what our school had think why they give me such such assignments is that I love coaching.
Okay.
That's me.
Annie, that's good that you mentioned that you are a badminton coach. In fact, everybody, if you know, if either you played a sport or you coach a sport, mention it, okay? Because sometimes it could give you the edge. Because, for example, if there's no badminton in that school, they may want you to form one. You know, volleyball, a bunch of schools do not have it. If you know volleyball, you know, so they might not have you coach yet, but you may be an assistant and then give you a coaching thing. That's extra money, by the way. They give you extra money. It's after school. You travel, you do, you know, you go to other schools, but then they always, you know, assign a bus driver to take your kids and you, and then that's good. That's very good for you to say that. Okay. You might not want to say I coach assessment, because here assessment is at the end of the year. That's how schools are graded, and you don't coach it. If you say coach it, you're cheating, because you don't coach your kids about the assessment. Okay, so what do you think a better way to say that instead of coaching assessment? Are you coaching
I think,
team?
or I should say it train, or I
Okay,
train
yeah, you might
them
wanna,
before
but train them
assessment.
on what? Train them on what?
For their skills assessment, ma'am.
So
It's a
maybe you
skills
do some
assessment
skills
here in the
practice.
Philippines.
You might want to say I do skills practice, you know, review or skills review, something.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
do not say you're coaching for the assessment because that
Thank you,
means you're
thank
cheating.
you.
Okay. I don't know. I just don't want them to misunderstand that your school is cheating. You know? Yeah, because in
So now I
America,
realize there are lots of terms here
yes, yes,
that
it's a word choosing.
having negative connotation there
Yes,
in the US.
that's why I'm here. Okay, that's I will point it out to
Thank
you.
you. Though.
Yeah, like I did with permissive. Permissive is not a good term. Okay, not a positive term. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's a good thing that you will not say that because you don't, you know, some people in Georgia, I think back, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years ago, if you can Google this, they were cheating. Administrators were cheating, teachers were cheating. They got caught because, you know, they were studying the percentage of erasures, and then they also compared it with the kids' performance and so on. And of course, it showed that, you know, all of a sudden this D kid becomes an A kid, you know. So it just lots of factors that they looked at, and they decided that school was cheating. A lot of people got fired, from superintendent, principal, a bunch of teachers. So anyway, and then you could go to jail for that. It's a big deal. Okay, so it's a big deal here. You do not cheat at all. You know, in fact, they always have proctors here to make sure that, you know, and I love that. I love it when somebody is proctoring my class, because I would nobody could ever say, oh, she taught them, you know, she told them the answer or whatever. You know, like if you read the question, and some teachers may like change the voice if it's the answer, you know, that's cheating still. So anyway, so I love when I have proctors in my room. I always, but of course, you know, sometimes you don't have enough personnel to do it. But yeah, so thank you so much. You know, any of your introduction is always a learning experience for everybody else. So that's good. Okay, Leonard, is that how you say it, Leonard? I was thinking of your name, and you were making it capital, like LYNYRD, and capitalize everything. Okay, you have to remember that the netiquette means that if it's all capital, you're screaming at me. Okay, when somebody would write me and it's all capital, and I would answer like, are you mad at me? What's the deal? What did I do to make you mad at me? But anyway, it's your name. So I thought I have to analyze them, like maybe Leonard think big, you know, maybe Leonard think it made me think anyway. So maybe he just likes capitalization. But I just want to say to everybody that when you write to administrators or whatever, please do not use all capitals, because that means you're screaming. In our netiquette world, you're screaming.
That's true.
So just know that part. Know that part is all.
Yes, woman. Yes, woman. Sorry, ma'am.
No problem, no problem. I know you were not screaming at me. I just, but that's why I want to make it a learning experience for everybody, that not to scream at people on your email. Go ahead, tell us about you, please.
Hi. Good morning, Ma'am Merlina from the USA,
Okay.
and also good evening to my future teacher in the USA, my colleagues.
Okay.
I am Leonard Brixty Gonzalez, a licensed professional teacher here in the Philippines. I finished my bachelor in secondary education, major in music, arts, physical education, and health. I also had my master's in physical education. I had 4 years of teaching experience in the private school, and now I am currently teaching in the Department of Education for 6 years. I also had I am currently still teaching as a part-timer in the Eastern Visayas State University as a physical education teacher also. And I'm a goal-oriented, organized, facilitator, and sociable as well. I'm also an educator by profession that incorporates different games, dances, activities that reinforce the physical fitness or the physical education. And I also incorporate different teaching styles and strategies that ensure, and these are the differentiated instructions that ensure quality education of my students. I am a sports coordinator in our school, the performing arts coordinator in our school, the tournament manager in our division, and I've been into many winning competition in our school, in sports and in dances. And I trained different skills assessment of my athletes, such as volleyball, dance sports, sipak takraw, and athletics. I also the dance researcher in our municipality, uh, uh, namely the Magbubudbud sa Tabgas, detecting the different culture of the municipality, and I was able to create a music and dance steps for that, and it was in my 2 years right now. We always dance that one during